Every U.S. continuity of federal government layer explain. What if a catastrophic disaster struck Washington, D.C.? How would the federal government survive and keep functioning? In this video, we break down every layer of America's federal continuity of government, from secret bunkers and emergency succession plans to how each branch of government would carry on in a crisis. Get ready for a fascinating look at the Doomsday protocols that protect and help to ensure the continuity of the U.S. government. Chapter 1. Executive Branch Continuity. The executive branch's continuity plans focus on preserving the presidency and executive leadership. The U.S. has a well-defined presidential line of succession codified by law. If the president is incapacitated, power passes to the vice president, then the Speaker of the House, President pro tempore of the Senate, and down through cabinet secretaries. To safeguard this chain, one cabinet official is always the designated survivor, kept at a secure, undisclosed location during events like the State of the Union address. This ensures that someone in the line of succession will survive to lead the country if disaster strikes the Capitol. Continuity planning for the executive branch goes beyond succession. There are comprehensive emergency plans to relocate and protect leadership. Notably, after 9/11, President George W. Bush activated a temporary shadow government, a rotating team of about 100 senior officials sent to secure bunkers to maintain essential federal functions. Federal agencies deployed designated emergency relocation groups of key staff to alternate sites, ready to keep critical services running. Modern continuity policy, established by a 2007 presidential directive, empowers the president to geographically disperse leaders and operations in a crisis. In fact, the Federal Continuity Plan was activated for the first time on September 11, 2001, and again during the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. Real-world events when these protocols kicked in to preserve government control. From secure bunkers to pre-drafted emergency orders, the executive branch stands ready to ensure an unbroken presidency and administration even in the worst scenarios. Chapter 2. Legislative Branch Continuity. Congress also has plans to ensure it can continue working if the Capitol is destroyed or lawmakers are lost. During the Cold War, a secret emergency bunker was built at the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia to house the entire U.S. Congress in case of nuclear war. This facility, codenamed Project Greek Island, remained on standby for 30 years before its existence was revealed in 1992. Today, while specific sites are classified, top congressional leaders would be evacuated by military helicopters to secure facilities like the Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center in Virginia in an extreme emergency. In fact, the continuity plan calls for quickly moving the Speaker of the House, President pro tempore of the Senate, and other key lawmakers to undisclosed secure locations so the legislative branch can reconstitute and function during a crisis. Replacing members of Congress after a catastrophe is another continuity challenge. The Senate can recover relatively quickly since most states allow governors to appoint new senators if vacancies occur. However, the House of Representatives, by constitutional design, can only fill vacancies through special elections, which normally take time. To address this, Congress passed laws to expedite special elections if a large number of House seats become vacant due to a disaster. Even so, it could take weeks for the House to regain a full roster, so emergency rules allow a smaller quorum to do business if many members are incapacitated. The key is that Congress can convene in an alternate location, or even remotely if needed, and continue legislative work despite devastation. From secret relocation sites to fast-track elections, these measures aim to keep the legislative branch alive and governing when it's needed most. Chapter 3. Judicial Branch Continuity. Ensuring the federal courts remain operational is also crucial. The judicial branch is highly decentralized. Each federal court develops its own continuity of operations plans under guidelines from the Administrative Office of U.S. Courts. This means every court, from district courts up to the Supreme Court, has identified backup facilities and procedures to continue hearings and protect court records if their primary courthouses are compromised. The Supreme Court itself has special continuity arrangements, often kept secret for security. Notably, in October 2001, an anthrax attack on a mail facility forced the Supreme Court building to close, and the justices temporarily heard oral arguments in another federal courthouse. This brief relocation showed that even the highest court has a plan to operate from alternate sites when faced with an emergency. Historically, continuity planners have even prepared for preserving the judiciary during all-out disaster. During the Cold War, the government quietly developed plans to evacuate the Chief Justice and Associate Justices to secure locations outside Washington so they could continue the rule of law after a nuclear attack. Similar plans likely exist today to protect key judges and keep essential courts running in a crisis. The principle is that even if Washington is in chaos, Americans must still have a functioning justice system. By safeguarding court leadership and providing for emergency courthouses, the judicial branch can continue to uphold the Constitution when it's needed most. Chapter 4. Continuity of operations for agencies. Continuity of government isn't only about top officials. It extends to every federal department and agency through continuity of operations, known as COOP. COOP is an initiative that ensures each federal agency can continue performing its essential functions under all manner of emergencies. Whether the disruption comes from a natural disaster, a cyber attack, or a national security threat, agencies must be prepared to keep critical services running. This involves identifying mission-essential functions, backing up vital records, and pre-arranging alternate facilities and communications. Federal guidelines require agencies to routinely test and update these plans. In practice, COOP means every agency has a designated emergency team and a backup site. If a crisis hits Washington, departments can relocate operations to field offices or bunkers outside the danger zone. For example, the U.S. Government Publishing Office's continuity plan ensures that even if its D.C. facilities go down, it can still print emergency documents, passports, and the Federal Register from elsewhere. Agencies regularly conduct drills and exercises to rehearse these scenarios. Essential personnel carry go kits and may be called to report to alternate work locations on short notice. Communication networks and IT systems are set up so that government work can continue from dispersed locations. In short, COOP planning builds a resilient federal workforce ready to maintain government services for the public, even when headquarters are offline or under threat. This backbone of continuity ensures that critical operations, from law enforcement to Social Security payments, press on uninterrupted during a disaster. Chapter 5. Key Emergency Facilities and Doomsday Bunkers. A dramatic layer of federal continuity is the network of hardened bunkers and relocation sites designed to shelter leaders and serve as emergency command centers. The U.S. government has built numerous secret facilities over the decades to withstand nuclear blasts and keep the government running underground. Mount Weather in Virginia and Raven Rock Mountain Complex, also known as Site R, on the Pennsylvania-Maryland border, are two of the most famous Cold War-era bunkers. Mount Weather, operated by FEMA, can host a replica of essential government functions and has an underground emergency operations center. Raven Rock, often called the Underground Pentagon, is a massive bunker that houses emergency operations centers for the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. Together with the Cheyenne Mountain Complex in Colorado, home to NORAD's command center, these facilities form the core of America's continuity bunkers intended to survive a nuclear attack. Even today, these sites remain ready. It's reported that Vice President Dick Cheney took shelter at Raven Rock after 9/11, illustrating their continued role. The Presidential Emergency Operations Center, a bunker beneath the White House, is meant for immediate crises, like the one that sheltered officials on September 11th. For longer-term relocation, a sitting president has several options. After an initial evacuation by Marine One helicopter, the president can board the National Airborne Operations Center, a militarized Boeing 747 known as the Doomsday plane, which serves as a flying command post. This aircraft can keep the president mobile and safe for days, with in-flight refueling and advanced communications. Eventually, the president and top officials could relocate to secure facilities such as Mount Weather, Site R, or other classified presidential emergency facilities around the country. There's even an underground facility at Camp David and a bunker at Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska, home of U.S. Strategic Command, designated for continuity use. While many details remain secret, it's no secret that hardened bunkers and even mobile command centers are in place to ensure national leaders can survive and govern from the safety of deep underground or high in the sky. Chapter 6. COGCON. Readiness. Levels of continuity. To manage all these plans, the government uses a system called COGCON, or Continuity of Government Readiness Conditions. Similar to the DEFCON system for military readiness, COGCON is a graduated alert scale that indicates the level of threat to government continuity and triggers corresponding actions. There are 4 COGCON levels, with COGCON 4 being everyday, normal operations. At COGCON 4, federal employees work at their usual locations, and agencies simply maintain their alternate sites and periodically test their backup systems. As threat levels rise, the government moves to lower COGCON numbers. COGCON 3 means heightened readiness. Departments start warming up their alternate facilities, testing communications, and tracking the whereabouts of key officials and successors daily. COGCON 2 is a major step up. It involves the preemptive deployment of roughly half to 3/4 of emergency relocation staff to their backup sites. At this level, continuity personnel are actively standing by at bunkers or alternate locations, ready to assume essential functions on short notice. Finally, COGCON 1 represents full implementation of continuity plans. In COGCON 1, the designated leadership, including the president and other successors, and critical staff are fully deployed to secure locations and carrying out government operations from there. This would occur either in preparation for or immediately after a catastrophic event. The president alone has the authority to set the COGCON level, and a secure notification chain exists to alert all agencies of status changes. In essence, COGCON ensures that as a crisis escalates, the government systematically shifts from normal operations to dispersed, hardened postures ready to ride out the storm. Chapter 7. National Emergency Powers and Historical Protocols. Continuity of government planning also involves extraordinary emergency powers and protocols that can be invoked in a severe national crisis. The president can declare a national emergency or even a more extreme catastrophic emergency, which triggers a variety of special authorities and the activation of continuity plans across government. As part of this, there are secret pre-drafted orders known as presidential emergency action documents. These are executive orders, proclamations, and directives written in advance to address hypothetical worst-case scenarios. Though their contents are classified, PEADs are believed to cover things like suspending certain laws, controlling communications, or imposing curfews in the immediate aftermath of a devastating attack. They are essentially a contingency playbook for the president, kept ready to sign at a moment's notice if the unthinkable happens. Historically, the U.S. government has been refining these protocols for decades. The continuity programs we have now are a legacy of the Cold War, when the threat of nuclear annihilation loomed large. Starting in the 1950s, plans were drawn up to ensure that each branch of government, executive, legislative, and judicial, could survive a Soviet nuclear strike. Secret relocation facilities like the Greenbrier Bunker for Congress and others for federal agencies were products of that era. Continuity planning was largely hidden from public view for much of the 20th century, evolving through classified directives and exercises. Even after the Cold War, events like 9/11 demonstrated the relevance of COG measures for terrorism and natural disasters as well. Today's national continuity policy ties all these strands together into an integrated strategy so that essential government functions, from commanding the military to issuing Social Security checks, continue uninterrupted. While many operational details remain secret, one thing is clear. The U.S. government has a comprehensive and constantly updated plan to preserve itself. From constitutional provisions like succession to clandestine bunkers and emergency action documents, every layer of continuity is in place to defend the federal government against collapse. Thank you for watching. Which aspect of these continuity plans surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into America's doomsday preparations, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more insights into how our government works. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, stay safe.